It's great to be here. I'm Tim Garland, and I'm here with my buddies, world-class musicians. So this is Jason Rebello, the great Jason Rebello, and Yuri Golomev on bass. Well, Jason and I have been playing music on and off together for about 26 years, and we were both at the Guildhall School of Music together. He was a real prodigy.
I think it's longer, Tim.
Really?
Yeah, it's like 20 years.
Well, I said 26.
Oh, it's shorter.
That's all right. As maths isn't our strong point.
No, 30.
30.
Well, how old are we?
How long have you got? It's a long time.
It is 30
It's a long time.
I was 18 and
he's
I'm
like a member of the family,
It's
and
30
he's
years.
a bit of a genius, and we're all very proud to have him. So just shut up. Yeah. And Yuri, we've only known each other for, well, how many years? Not that many years.
10, maybe less.
10? No, we've not actually played all that much.
10, maybe a bit less.
Yuri's
8,
also,
maybe 8, maybe.
he's a complete one-off. No one really plays the bass like this guy. So Yuri's from Moscow, lived for many years in Milan, and we're very fortunate now he's made England his home, at least for the time being.
Enjoying music, and that's what we're here to do, isn't it? You have to express it somehow. It has to come out.
It's just, maybe some the ideas reach some sort of a critical mass, and then once the critical mass has been reached, they need to be documented. Maybe.
Yeah, they have to come
it could
out.
be a crazy idea. Like, I'm going to record a duo album with one pianist in Italy, completely standards. We're just going to bring it in the studio like 25 standards, just play them through, and whatever happens. And that's also an idea, because usually it's all very conceptual. We work on music, it's all very structured, colorful, arranged. Once in a while, you may want just to do something crazy. Also an idea.
Yeah. It's all valid, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know that, like, when I'm with people whose music I love and who inspire me, it doesn't matter what problems they've been getting to the concert or getting to the studio or writing the music, etc. As soon as that music starts, all of the worries just sort of disappear. And it's just that desire to communicate that feeling of freedom and joy, I guess. Right. So for me, it's really important because, as Jason rightly says, you're never going to kind of become a millionaire playing this kind of music. But if you do it really genuinely for the love of it, that's what you're hoping to communicate with everyone around you. And it's a bit like tightrope walking, because you're doing it all live. You can't edit anything when you're in front of people. Whatever comes out, and so much of it is improvised. It's and that's part of the joy of it too. You're kind of on this precipice.
Live. I like live because you know that performance is just unique, and the notes hang in the air for a second and then they're gone forever. And it takes pressure off. You don't feel like you have to control what you're doing so much, because everyone's going to be listening to it over and over again for years. So there's a freedom, I find, in that live performance, and also you get all the energy from the audience. It all sort of mingles together, and the audience affects the performance, and it's to me that's where jazz is really at its best. Is everyone in the room together, and the musicians and the audience not really knowing quite what's going to come next. That's the kind of the beauty
It's
of it.
still maybe documented and we upload it on YouTube, and now then after that everybody listens to it for years, you know. So
You can't escape.
the
But
technology.
in your mind, I think
Yeah.
your mindset when you're on a performance is less about, oh, this is being recorded, even if you know it is being recorded.
Yeah.
I like that sort of person.
I love working
enjoy
in a studio too. I
Mm.
think these are just two different things, and
Mm.
you can enjoy both of them either. And what I also find in all this work very, very interesting and inspiring is the possibility of constant growth, of learning. So you practice, you play a gig, you are there, you know, musically, whatever, but you still practice, you set goals, certain phrasing, certain time, whatever, you practice, you come to the studio and you practice, you want to get better, and you then sort of mentally record your mistakes, so to speak, or what you can improve, and you try the next time, you try not to do these mistakes, you know. I mean, maybe it's too long to explain, but
Okay.
it's one of the, for me personally, one of the attractions of jazz music.
I think when I was younger, a lot of it was building up stamina and getting fluent in a language, a fairly conventional language, you know, really understanding harmony and rhythm and melody, and listening to a lot of players who I would just imitate. You know, you imitate this player, this player, this player, and maybe writing down lots of phrases as well, and just making sure that that language, rather sort of like a dictionary of phrases, you know. These days it's much more, for me, centred around what I've got coming up in terms of performing, to make sure that the particular pieces we're going to play I know. And it's much more, I suppose, of a case of just making sure I can sink into that flow and just be kind of in command of the instrument enough not to get tense, you know. And that if there is thinking going on, it's not of a linguistic nature, you know, so that there's definitely a lot of mental activity, but it's not formed in words, which is why I think quite a lot of musicians find it hard to talk about, you know. Oh wow, my sound. I like a sound which has quite a lot of warmth within it. So I'm constantly trying to make sure that, but particularly on soprano, it doesn't get too kind of reedy and bright, because you can get a lot of air. It's nice to actually hear the air move, you know. And I always used to practice in my little apartment when I was a student, and I knew I was getting the sound I wanted if I could feel the floor vibrating. Because it wasn't because the sound was loud, it's because the apartment was such an old place. But sort of getting the air to really move through the horn is a bodily thing. It's a sort of bit like dance, you know. You should really feel everything working in your body. And then that's part of the communication, I think, and that's part of the sound. It sort of comes from all over the instrument.